All right, folks, welcome to the Test Press, the first ever episode. And we have a very, very, very special guest, mastermind of Your Albino Shadow, probably one of the greatest guitarists I've ever met in person, and the lead guitarist for Santa Barbara indie rock outfit, The Framers. We have Oliver Chavez with us today.
Hello,
Woo!
all.
I'll insert stadium applause into that in post. Uh, Ollie, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing good. It's a fine Saturday morning here in LA. Nice warm October. I really wish it was a lot colder. Like we had one day of us like having like cold weather, but otherwise still chilling.
So I'll just get right into my first question. Well, actually, we should probably tell people how we met first.
Right.
I don't know if you wanna go for it.
Um, I don't even know. This might have been like 2 years ago now because that's when MCR was playing. But My Chemical Romance, of course, legendary emo band, back on their a very temporary reunion tour in the year 2022. I had just snagged a very last minute nosebleed ticket. Well, firstly, I was looking over the internet just to see like what the previous days were like, trying to see what other people's wristbands looked like the nights before, and I happened to come across a post of somebody who was looking to offer rides to what was it? What's the stadium called? It's not
It's Kia
SoFi.
Forum. It's Kia
Yeah,
Forum. Yeah.
yeah, to the Forum down in Inglewood, and figured it would be a good shot for me to save on the time spent walking or parking in Inglewood, because if anyone's been to the Forum, you just know how much of a hassle that is to get around.
Yeah.
So responded to his inquiry, got a few texts back and forth. Didn't end up working out for one reason or another, but since then, yeah, Brylan and I have been constant communication about music and shows we've been to in LA.
Yeah. It was remarkable because I was, I none of my friends here, are into MCR, and they're like one of my favorite bands of all time. So I was like, oh, it'd be kind of cool to, meet some other My Kim fans, and what better way to do that than to potentially get murdered by asking asking people on Reddit if anyone wants to meet up and take a ride to the show. Anyway, MCR, great band, one of the
Mhm.
best bands of all time, in my opinion. And what brought us together, really. So it's all thank you, MCR.
Yep. Without them, we wouldn't have this podcast, the
That's
debut
true.
episode of the podcast.
But anyway, so you are primarily a guitarist, right? An incredible guitarist. Like I said at the top of the show, honestly, probably one of the most talented guitarists that I've ever met. You're just fucking, and I know you're a little bit of a humble guy, but you guys will have to trust me. Oliver is unreal on the axe. So how did, like, take me a little bit through your guitar journey? Like what age? I know you started pretty young, but like what made you pick it up for the first time?
Yeah, I feel like myself and so many people my age, really like my generation of like musicians, Guitar Hero 3 is absolutely the one thing that like drove me to like not even just play the guitar, but just like it completely changed the course of what I thought like fun music was. My parents recognized just how much I enjoyed that game, and Christmas, I think when I turned no Christmas 2009, so I'd have been 9 years old, 10 and like 2 months from there. But that's when he got me my first guitar, which is just some Squire Stratocaster. It was when it comes to my foray into actual music. That's where my journey begins, I suppose, is that Stratocaster. I don't know. The other thing is, I wasn't really involved with music at my school, like in any capacity, maybe until like senior year of high school. And even that was choir, which is just like completely different, like
Oh
work of
wow.
music.
Yeah.
I'm say most of my journey, like instrumentally with guitar, has just been, well, yeah, I guess independently formed. And between like that on and off 3 year period when I first got that Stratocaster, even though I wasn't playing a lot of music and a lot of Indian rock music on that guitar, I feel I still listened and try to discover a lot of music that I found interesting and I wanted to create. And I feel that's one of the more important, like one of the most important things to me when it comes to creating music, of course, is, consuming music.
So anyway, so when did you start? Obviously you started guitar from a super young age. When did you start songwriting? And we're going to, get more specifically into your solo project, Your Albino Shadow, a little bit later. But just songwriting in general, when do you remember sort of starting that?
I think before I get to like songwriting when it comes to structures and like, I guess instrumentally, I should take a step back to maybe when I was like 16-ish or so at that age. Because a big part of how I'm able to songwrite now is what I learned then, which is recording and mixing. I had this like iPod Touch or something. It was a little nifty app called Amplitude, which is basically just a mobile amp simulator. And you had to buy this auxiliary device that basically plug in to your iPod Touch, and you could plug in your guitar and a pair of headphones. And from that, I used the built-in recording system to try to record songs that I was learning at the time, like different Muse songs or like songs by the Killers or whatnot.
Oh, dude, I fucking loved Muse back in the day.
Oh, dude, I love Muse so much.
Their Absolution is my favorite album.
Same. I placed that in like some of my top 10 albums ever.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that every song on that fucker is so fucking good.
Mm-hmm.
So good.
So many fun guitar parts too, and that's, as I've said, it's just like it was a band that to me at that age sounded a lot of fun to listen to. Seemed like it was a lot of fun to play, and that's how I started picking up and learning a lot of the songs. And
do you remember like when could you play Stockholm Syndrome?
Maybe just around that age, like 16 years or so. I was definitely deep in a Muse phase by then, but
yeah, I mean that's a hard fucking song.
Mm-hmm. It's a really nice classical key too, which I feel like was a natural transition to my ears. Again, coming back from like the classical lessons that I was taking. Yeah. When it comes to songwriting, a lot of what I know to do just I feel like stems from the fact that I was just sitting in my room, like in the after hour, like just after school, recording stuff on my little iPod Touch, and a lot of it would not make any cuts. A lot of it would just be stuff that lived there that I would listen back and just, critique myself on. Sometimes I would try to compile an actual cover using like a drum track that I found online and then post that on like Instagram or YouTube or whatever. But when it comes to actual songwriting, like original things, that came more by force. Well, I don't want to say by force. I want to say I was more compelled to do it when I joined my band, the Framers. This would have been back in like beginning of 2019 or the end of 2018 when I'd met my the rhythm guitarist. His name is Frankie. When I'd met him when we'd started the band. And of course, when you start off any garage band, you're going to be doing your basic covers, going to be doing your Weezers, going to be doing your
right.
Yeah, your Weezers, your Green Days, of course, the Strokes.
Yeah.
And then, between practice sessions, him and I would just try to feed our curiosity and see what it would sound like if we made our own, chord progressions based on the songs that we were covering. And they were pretty awful. I still know how to play.
Yeah, they suck. Yeah. They sucked ass.
And I mean, they will. And like,
sure.
Yeah, I feel that's just a natural process of creativity, and no one's going to get anything right their first time when they're creating it for the first time.
No,
so
not at all. And I mean, holy shit, man! Like the first song I ever made, which I don't know if you knew this, I started as an electronic musician and DJ. Dude, the first song I made, oh my god, it's so horrendous that like I think I would rather die than like play it for people. Honestly, I mean it's so fucking bad. I recently went back and listened to it, and I was like, wow. Like I was like things aren't even in the right key with each other. Like it was fucked, man. Maybe I'll let you. Maybe it would be kind of fun to do like have you seen the documentary Grizzly Man?
I have not.
So it's about this guy who was obsessed with grizzly bears, and he ends up, spoiler alert, he gets murdered by one of them, which go figure. He would go out into the woods and like sleep with the grizzly bears. So obviously he was going to get killed one day. His camera was recording while he was getting mauled.
Oh man.
And there's this there's this audio, and at the end of the movie, the guy who made the documentary, like, because they had never released the audio, obviously, of him getting mauled, and he listens to it on headphones, and like you don't hear it in the movie, you just see his reaction, and just see like the horror on his face. And it would be kind of cool to like do that, but with my song, like not actually play it for people, but just like have a guest like listen to it.
Oh my God.
And just to get their reaction. Oh fuck. Yeah, I
Yeah.
might actually, that's a good idea. I might actually do that. But anyway, that's a good so you'd mentioned the Framers, which is you're the, as I said at the top of the show, you're the lead guitarist. And so you were one of the founding members, actually. Is that correct? And you said it was around what, like 2019?
Something like that. That's when we started the band. Well, that's when he and I met together and when we tried to get something rolling.
So because I actually thought you were, for whatever reason, I thought you were a later addition. So you were literally one of the two founding members.
Oh yeah.
Wow. Okay. I didn't know that.
Sometimes I forget that too. It's all right.
So who, like, because I believe actually you guys had a different singer originally, correct?
Yeah, we are a completely different lineup and a completely different sound from what we were. I want to say almost a completely different brand from what we were like 2.5 years ago or 3 years ago. The original lineup was, at least when we started releasing music and recording music, the original lineup was with a singer. Her name is Julielle, who's since moved to Nashville and started her own solo career. But I feel like the tonality and the songwriting and even just like, the dynamics of each of the members was a completely different thing from what we are now. It's I feel like when I'm looking at the timeline of the Framers, I almost want to consider them two completely different projects just because of how separate they are. I mean, we don't even play most of the music that we'd written pre 2022.
Oh wow!
But
does it still exist on, like, is it on streaming services?
It does. We don't play those live, but they are still available. So I think
I've actually never listened to like the super early stuff. So that would be interesting to just, kind of go back and, just for, my curiosity, go back and sort of check out what that was like.
Yeah, I will say that comes, like, those were like recorded middle of the pandemic. So we definitely had some time to flesh out and, filter out the bad songwriting decisions that we'd made in the past. So,
but that's a good transition. So, you started around 2019. How do you guys write songs now typically? And how has it sort of evolved over the years with the changing lineup?
I feel now, let me think about this, because I feel like we have like a few different ways that songs kind of come into our ideas and into our jams, and songs that get developed just like have completely different completely different development cycles. We've had songs where it was essentially just all of us covering one person's ideas. So say our lead singer, Jessie, comes in with like a demo that she's had. She tells us, she wants us to play our parts exactly as she's written it. And we kind of, learn it on our own and then play it and jam it out to maybe add a couple songs to the structure. But ultimately, like the base. So
what you're saying is she's a tyrant. No, I'm kidding.
No.
I'm joking.
I feel like that's one of the ways that songs come into plays and into jams, and how we start developing them is just someone's idea. Maybe it's like a minute or like 2 minutes of a song that they have like as a demo recording on their phone or something. And then we just cover it from there and add from there. Another way that we come up with songs is just good old fashioned, getting in the studio, jamming. Maybe we find a catchy riff and then just build up from there. I feel that that's also maybe like how half or like a further third of our songs come into play.
So you'd say it's more like 2/3 someone brings an idea into the studio, and then, maybe another third is just kind of like noodling around, and then, you happen to get something.
Well, I would say more it's a third noodling around, a third someone comes in with an idea, and a third of it is kind of mishmashing to, like, because being a band for like 2 years, we're going to have a lot of jams. We're going to have a lot of like things on record and a lot of song ideas. And even though not a lot of them are going to come into play, there are aspects of it that I feel we pull and bring into songs that we like want to start building from the ground up. So I feel like a third of the way that we build songs is kind of a synthesis of ideas that we've had in the past that we just never developed. So it's kind of I guess like a hybrid of jamming it out, but also covering on previous ideas that have already technically existed.
That's interesting. So it sounds like you guys sort of, you don't have like one set method. You're kind of very flexible, and just however a song comes about, that's just how it happens. I think
Mhm.
that makes a lot of sense. I don't think, especially with songwriting, I don't think a lot of I don't think rigidity is, I think that's kind of the enemy of creativity. But yeah, that's I mean, you guys have an amazing sound, and clearly what you guys are doing works. Which I actually will, you don't mind. You guys aren't going to like try to sue me for playing your music, right?
No, no.
I figured. I want to play just sort of a little bit of probably my favorite Framer song, "Broken Ankle,"
Mm.
which you guys didn't play at the show I went to,
Oh.
which I was very sad about. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, I'll just play a little bit of the beginning of this and just kind of give people idea of like of the sound. He took a flight to Colorado. Turned out his nana wasn't doing well. Almost crashed his bike and took a fell. The cloudy mind fucked up the ankle. Like this shit gets stuck in my head all the time. Like the little like so like that like little who came did you come up with that little like guitar melody there, like the
Oh, geez. If we're going to talk about the building of this song, this has kind of a complicated history because this song, like the chord progression and like the bass line, was actually an idea that Frank and I had in like like late 2019 or early 2020.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's the dumbest thing. Frank had like this project for like an anthropology class, and they said, write your report by the end of this week. It can be in any medium that you need it to be. Frank thought it'd be funny if we made it into a song, so he kind of rushed out like this weird electronic jam that was just those two chords, like the first two chords that you were hearing in that song, and it sounded
Yeah.
awful. I will have to share that with you, but it was not my not my proudest work using Logic Pro. But
Wow.
2 years down the line, I was listening back to that demo and thought, maybe there's a way that we can, or maybe there's a way that I can try to bring this back into a sound that's more palatable for the framers. And, I removed like the extra synths and like the electronic drums in favor of like, well, yeah, just an electronic guitar and like the MIDI drums that are on Logic.
Yeah.
And funny enough, that riff was not actually in the original reimagining of the original demo that I had made. Funny story, I was seeing somebody at the time, and we were just talking about 80s music and what just made them so great. And she'd mentioned to me that like some of the best 80s songs were songs with a guitar part that just gets stuck in your head. So I went home that night
Yeah.
and wrote that guitar riff. The band actually does not know this. If they listen to this episode, this will be the first time they're hearing that riff was inspired by someone that I was seeing at the time. But
Wow. Well, first of all, I'd hope they'd listen to the episode if their lead guitarist is on it. That is really interesting. So you are the architect, and you're exactly right. That is the part that gets stuck in my, I mean, it's an amazing song, and like every time I listen to it, like the next morning in the shower, I'm like, it's like hours. It gets stuck in my head, like every time I listen to it. So I mean, you're clearly a very effective hook writer.
Thank you. But yeah, as I've said, I feel that's a complicated history with creation because that's sort of like that kind of comes from all three places of like what I said our song comes from. It's like an original idea that like Frank and I jammed out, and then it's something that I ended up covering myself later, and then and then sort of just mishmash it with a different riff that I ended up writing like some random night in like summer of 22 or something. So
Yeah. Now let me ask you this: does the girl know that she inspired it?
No, actually.
Wow. Okay. Well, you listen to this, whoever you are. I assume it was like Kate Upton or somebody. Another candidate, which for everyone listening, the Framers put out an amazing record called "I'm Feeling Fine," which it came out just a few months ago, right?
Yeah, just earlier this year.
Yeah, I was trying to remember. I don't remember the exact month, but it's been a couple months. Maybe it was like June or July or somewhere around there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just fucking phenomenal. By the way,
Oh, thank
just
you.
phenomenal record. Like I said, legitimately, and I'm not just saying this because you're on the podcast. Probably, one of my top 15 releases of the year, if not top 10.
Oh,
I've just been spinning this thing, endlessly. And much like the snippet I just played, Broken Ankle, it's such upbeat, fun, indie pop rock, but it has its own. You guys have your own unique sound too. It's not just like a cookie cutter. Because indie, especially a few years ago, like everyone was making like indie pop and indie rock, and it sounds new, but it also has sort of the bones of what made that stuff so good and so popular. And yeah, I just think this record, especially, and a lot of the other tracks that I really like from you guys, I think you guys sort of struck that balance super well.
well, thank you, man.
I do want to play one of the songs from this new record, I'm Feeling Fine, which, by the way, you can stream it everywhere, Spotify, Apple Music. Do you guys have a Bandcamp?
We do. I have yet to renovate that, but that should be done before next week.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I'll include links to all of their stuff in the description, of course. But yeah, you got to check these guys out. But I want to play the last song, or snippets from the last song, Without You, which I believe, actually, I think we talked previously. You said that you think this is the best song you guys have ever made. Am I remembering correctly?
I think so, and that would, yeah, I still believe that, actually.
Okay, so we'll just we'll just listen to a little bit of the beginning here. Chorus is so good. Or this pre-chorus, rather. That line especially, one more lie and then I'll quit. I don't know why, but like that's such it just hits so good for some reason.
Oh man,
I don't know why.
Jesse is like honestly such an amazing songwriter and like a great storyteller. Just when it comes to Framer stuff, it's like it always surprises me.
So she's the primary lyricist.
Yes, she's a primary lyricist. Jake is also a very talented writer and someone who puts a lot of great ideas into metaphors. I feel like the two of them have a lot of great collaborations together. But again, I don't know how she comes up with the stuff that she does in the way that she does.
Like the lyricism is like, it's playful, but it's not like overly simplistic or like cheesy at all. And I feel like that's such a fine line to walk. It's so rare, I feel like, that I find songs, lyrically at least, that sort of get that point across in a new way, or in a way that doesn't sound played out. And I think you guys kind of achieved it here, which is awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Another part I want to play this song, which I fucking love. I'm a big metal guy, as we've talked about. And you guys actually fucking put double bass in an indie pop rock song.
You have Jake, our drummer, to thank for that. He has his background in metal drumming, and he has never played a show or done a practice session without a double kick bass.
Wow. I'm gonna try to find where it starts here. So it's sort of like slow build up, right? faster and faster. Her voice is just fucking unreal, man.
Oh yeah.
You hear it? Get it? I'm in boom right here. I mean, just so fucking sick.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, machine guns just blast you with energy. And I mean, it's already a lot of energy with that buildup, but,
Yeah.
He most certainly knows where to place, the power with a double kick.
Yeah, it just works. And, if you told someone, like, oh, let's put fucking double bass in an indie rock song, they'd be like, what the fuck is the matter with you?
Mm-hmm.
But it just, like you said, with that sort of slow build up after the breakdown, and then that just explosive, like that explosive drum beat, like at the end to end out the record, especially. So good. So good. Did he come with that idea, and were you guys like skeptical at first that he was like, let's fucking put a double bass in this song? Or, how did you guys sort of arrive at that?
I feel that when we were writing this song, we'd been playing with Jake for a while now, so we'd kind of gotten we'd gotten used to the idea of having double kick and having that sort of an energy in our indie music. But also in that time frame, Jake had also learned, I definitely get the sense that Jake had learned, getting a sense for songwriting structure with us and how much that differs from indie music to metal music. Because it could be really very easy to just double kick your way through an entire metal song, and that's, could be acceptable. I do listen to a lot of music, and that's the case. And it's just different with indie music. I feel you have to be a little bit more selective with where you want your energy, and you don't want to expend all of that in just one chorus or even choruses at a time. So
yeah, that's awesome, man. Well, I mean, like I said, it fucking works perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. And maybe you guys will start a trend, if when the song, we'll say when the song blows up, maybe we'll have fucking, Bushwick and Brooklyn indie bands all over the place hiring ex-metal drummers. Like I said, the record is called I'm Feeling Fine, ! Got to get the exclamation point in there. By the Framers. Incredible record. If you like, pop, indie rock, anything like that, definitely check it out. Links will be in the description, of course. Check out their back catalog as well and see them live. They play, they're a Santa Barbara native band. They mainly play around up there, but you guys are starting to creep down south, play LA a little bit more often now, which is cool.
Yeah, we're starting to make some friends down south here. By the way, I'm calling it from LA. I live in Los Angeles, if nobody on the show knows that yet. So
right.
It's definitely great to see the band come around to home turf.
Right, because usually you have to haul you're a guitarist, so you don't have as much like a drummer. But, I imagine it's kind of rough having to haul your shit up there for gigs all the time.
It's okay. The other thing, too, I don't know if you've seen my live setup, but it is very, very specialized to me because I just accidentally made it super inconvenient. So I kind of have to lug my own stuff. But, I make it portable. I mean, I feel like I make it easy for myself. It's not a hassle at all if what I get out of it is to play with the band.
So transitioning to something even lighter before we start talking about your solo album, which is A Ray of Sunshine, let's just say. Foreshadowing. Let's do. Do you want to do a little game? You feel like answering some questions?
Sure.
Do a little quiz.
You'd have mentioned it'd be a mini game, so I'm looking forward to it.
All right. So we're going to play a little game called "Is This Real or Fake?"
My God.
All right. We have 5 questions. All right. And then you're either going to have to pick the real one or the fake one, depending on the way the question's written. You got 4 choices. So I scoured and found some ridiculous shit, as I'm sure you can see. So let's get started with, and by the way, if you get all 5 of these right, the grand prize is $1 million.
Oh.
And I'm not kidding. The downside is it's payable on January 1st of the year 4029. but you do win $1 million USD.
Well, let's go. I'm ready to win that million.
Okay, so which of these following ridiculous band names is real? You're trying to find the real one. We have A, the entire population of China. B, my God ate my homework. C, burn down the fire station. Or D, the price of freedom.
I'm trying to think, because I'm trying to think of what kind of a band I'm expecting to listen to if I found this on Spotify. I feel like the entire population of China would be some, like, I don't know, that's actually a funny name for a band. I feel like that could be like a ska band, some sort of a punk ska band. My God ate my homework sounds something a little more emo. I think that's a little bit less believable for a band name, but that is also very funny. Burn down the fire station. I'm kind of leaning towards this one being the real one. I think I could definitely imagine like an EDM group having this name. And a price of freedom, nothing really comes to mind as far as the sound. So I'm gonna go with C. I'm gonna go with burn down the fire station.
Burn down the fire station. Is that your final answer?
That is.
Unfortunately, it was the entire population of China. That is a real band. I just Googled ridiculous band names and found a Reddit thread. And according to this guy on Reddit, there is a band called The Entire Population of China. And I looked them up and they do exist. Okay, so we'll go to question number 2. Which of these song titles is a real song by a major artist? Not like, I guess to give you a little bit of a hint, not like Taylor Swift major, but a major artist that a lot of people would have heard of.
Gotcha.
Okay, we got choice A. So tell me, Carl, did you know you were going to die today? B. Only one of us will make it out of here, and God, I hope it's you. C. They are night zombies. They are neighbors. They have come back from the dead. Ah. Or D. Ass face.
That's funny. I feel like, so tell me, Carl, did you know you were going to die today? That could definitely be like, that definitely sounds like the song, like an overtly long song title for like some Midwestern emo band. B sounds like a post-rock band. Like I could imagine someone like, I don't know, like Have a Nice Life having this for the title of their song. C, I'm not sure.
That would be, I could definitely see that on the Have a Nice Life record.
C, I'm not sure what the vibe here is. I'm getting either like maybe Misfits, like horror punk kind of a song. And Ass Face, I think that would be like I don't know why I'm getting like Lady Gaga vibes from that. Like I think that's like a bubblegum pop song right there.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with B. Only one of us will make it out of here, and I hope to God it's you.
All right, final answer?
Yes.
I'm sorry, it was C. They are night zombies, they are neighbors, and that is a song by Sufjan Stevens.
Oh, I've heard that. Okay, I've heard that name. Plenty of my friends have tried to get me to listen to them, but I've not yet. Yeah,
he's like, he writes like very like calm, quiet, like indie music.
Oh.
He's a great songwriter. But yeah, that is one of his tracks. All right, question number 3. You're 0 for 2 so far, so unfortunately you can't win the $1 million.
It's fine.
But I'll tell you what, if you can get the rest of them right, I'll give you $500,000, payable, of course, on January 1st of the year 4029.
That's a deal then.
All right. Which of these awful song lyrics are fake? So 3 of these, believe it or not, are real, and only one of them is not.
Okay.
We got A. This Lifetime movie loves got the best of me. I grabbed your ass under the oak tree.
Good
B.
rhyme.
When you take a sip, you buzz like a hornet. Billy Shakespeare wrote a whole bunch of sonnets. C. Sexuality. Your laws do not apply to me. A nuclear submarine sinks off the coast of Sweden. Or D. Let's not ask why it's not right. You won't be 17 forever, and we can get away with this tonight.
Jesus. These are all pretty uniquely awful.
Exactly, and we ran the whole gamut of awful. And like I said, 3 of these are real, so only one of them is fake.
I'm trying to think the vibe of each one, and which one seems most, or I guess in this case, least realistic. This Lifetime movie's got me feeling the best of me. I'm feeling like that's a singer-songwriter kind of a thing. Like I don't know why, but I can imagine someone like Rex Orange County saying that. When you
that'd be good.
When you take a sip, you buzz like a hornet. Billy Shakespeare wrote like a bunch of sonnets. I'm not sure. I'm inclined to think that's got to be like a line from like a hip hop song or something. Just somebody who needed something to rhyme with hornet and didn't know how to transition. Sexuality, your laws do not apply to me. I don't know why. Like, this line sounds like something I might have listened to once in the past. This could be like a doom metal song or a stoner metal song of some sort. And D, let's not ask why it's not right. You won't be 17 forever. I'm getting like 70s like yacht rock vibes from that for no apparent reason. But I think the least believable of all of these, I think it's gonna be D.
D. Well, you're not doing well, Ollie, because it is A. I came up with that last night at 3 a.m. when I was writing this.
That's an awesome
rhyme. Yeah, B is from the song. This is like sort of an infamous lyric, I guess. It's from a song. I think it's called "Summer Girl" by LFO. C is a song called "Sexuality" by some guy I don't remember the name of. I had it in the notes, but I don't know how to see it in this presentation. And then D actually is the song is called "17 Forever" by Metro Station, which I don't know if you remember them when we were in middle school.
I do not.
Well, actually, that was a little before your time, I think. But yeah, this song was played on the radio a lot in like 2008.
Jesus.
Yeah. And as you can guess, it is literally about, I think the singer said he was 19 at the time, and he was like, yeah, I wanted to bang this 17-year-old. And I was like, wow, that's a lot.
That's 2008. I don't know.
It was a different time back then.
You're right about being before my time, because that's just wow.
Yeah. Could you imagine that coming out today?
Yeah.
My God, people would fucking riot. Number 4, you're doing. I'm not gonna lie, Ollie, you're doing horrible so far. But let's see if we can get your score up to at least win out and get 2 out of 5. Okay, once again, you're trying to find the fake one, so 3 of these are completely real.
Mm-hmm.
We have A, Motherfucker 666, B, Ass Pounder, C, Hefty Sloppers, or D, Satan's Almighty Penis.
I don't even want to think about this. I'm gonna go with C. I feel like I'm going off of vibes, and vibes have not been working for me, but Hefty Sloppers it doesn't seem as intense as the other ones, so I'm inclined to say it's C.
You are right.
Oh, let's go.
Hey, you got one. Yeah, that my God. All right, and for the last one, let's see if you can get 2 out of 5. Which of these artists, this is a little bit of a change in format, which of these artists wrote the lyric, "I'm so gangster, I'm so thug"? Was it A, Hillary Duff, B, Train, C, John Mellencamp, or D, The Killers?
So I'm kind of going off of vibes here, because I think I know the Killers' discography pretty well. I know that would be a line. If I knew the Killers wrote something like that, that would be a line that would haunt the back of my mind. It's like, what's that one 21 Pilots song that's like, I'm not from the hood, but I know a thing or two about like gangster violence or something like that. That would
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
That would haunt me the same way that lyric haunts 21 Pilots fans. So I know it's not the Killers. Yeah. John Mellencamp, I'm inclined to say it's probably not him. I don't know. I'm thinking this is Hillary Duff. This might be a Hillary Duff line here. I'm going with A.
All right. Is that your final answer?
Yes.
It was Train,
Oh.
unfortunately. Yeah, they wrote this song in their smash radio hit, Hey Soul Sister, which you might remember from
Oh.
hearing in every single mall or really every public place for like a solid year.
You know, that song, it's no surprise I don't know that. That's one of those songs I've never listened to. I just like, it's just noise every time I like pass by an H&M or something in like 2012.
Exactly. Yeah. Whenever I forget, yeah, I think it was like around the early 2010s when this song came out. Every like clothing store, every like fucking like Sunglass Hut was bumping the shit out of Train, Soul Sister back then.
Yeah, I do not know that song very well at all.
Well, Oliver, unfortunately, as the first ever contestant on our quiz show, you did not do super great.
Well,
But it's okay. 1 out of 5 isn't terrible, I suppose. At
well,
least you got one.
I'm happy with getting the one off of vibes instead of logic.
You didn't get skunked, which is good. So anyway, transitioning, like I said, this is going to be a rough transition because this you have a solo project called Your Albino Shadow, and you released the debut album of it. What resembles a grave but isn't. It came out in February of 2024. And similar to the Framers release, this is, once again, I'm not just saying this. I actually re-listened to it this morning, so it was kind of fresh in my mind. One of my favorite releases this year, top 10, no question. Honestly, probably will make my top 5 of the year list.
Flattered that goes above the Framers.
So, I mean, yeah, the Framers are great, but this album is, I'm a bit of a sad boy. I love sad music. I mean, this album is so good. We're going to, get into a little bit of what makes it so good. But firstly, the name, both of the project, Your Albino Shadow, and the title of the album, what was sort of the origin of those?
Your Albino Shadow was a name that I had that was something I had in my mind for a while, even before I started songwriting seriously. Just imagining what an albino shadow was. That's a white light, and I'd always imagined that's it's something impossible to see, but it's also not something impossible to imagine. Is what is the thing that is meant to present darkness in you was actually something bright. So even though it is a sort of even though it might sound ominous at first, I think it's sort of at least to me, my justification for the name is something a little bit uplifting. What resembles a grave but isn't is the title of a poem. And gosh, I wish I remembered what her name was, but it was just something I found on this fringe blog forum on some forum somewhere on the internet. And it's just something that really stuck with me. I mean, one, with the emotions of the theme of the song, the theme of the album, but also just, if you read that poem, which I will hopefully try to get a link to for you. But the theme
I would like to read it.
But the theme of that poem is, as kind of like the name of the band. It's something that, even though it sounds dark and ominous at first presentation, the overall theme of it is more enlightening and more inspiring. I'll say that. It's supposed to be inspiring despite its darkness. Yeah,
and that's sort of, that's sort of, to me, is sort of the theme of the entire record, right? Mm-hmm. It's like it sounds, on the surface, it sounds very melancholic, and often is a lot of times, lyrically and musically, but there's also this underlying level of hope in all the darkness, which I think is what makes it so compelling. It's not just sort of, hitting you over the head with, sadness and depression. It's sort of sharing those feelings, but also sort of the light at the end of the tunnel, if you will. At least to me, that's sort of what I gather from the album.
Yeah. No, I think you hit the mark with what I hope people got out of it, as very dark thematically, but ultimately, it shows that there is a sign of hope.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And just, obviously I love I love these like sort of, post hardcore and like emo style song titles, and and project names. Like my three favorite songs on the album, hanging the elephant in the room. If you don't like the movie, you can always leave the theater, and leave only footprints, take only pictures. Like those song names are just so fucking sick. And what makes it sort of what what it conjures up to my mind is sort of, early Fall Out Boy and
Mm.
their song titles. Like, was that sort of era of emo? Did you have that in mind when you were naming these songs, or are these all taken from, like you said, the title of the record is from a poem? Are these all specific references, or did you sort of come up with these song titles?
Not all. I want to say maybe like a third of them are references to poems. Most of them are just things I'd come up with. Either I'd come up with them either as I'd finish the song and songwriting like lyrically, and try to figure out
Yeah.
what would be a good name to represent the theme of the song in itself, while still presenting its own message and its own imagery in the title alone. Some of my favorite songs are songs that are just um, you know 6, 7+ words or whole sentences, but they still draw like a pretty good image um, of the theme without even going through the song itself. And then the other part of that is sometimes I would just write the titles and the song would have nothing to do with it at all, which is also a staple of some of my favorite emo songs and emo artists, just coming up with whole titles. It's very Pierce the Veil like. It's coming up with whole titles and
Yeah.
sentences for songs that don't even have to do anything with the title, but still present their own imagery and their own emotion with the title in itself.
Something that I miss from modern music. I feel like a lot of people, just even bands in that space, just sort of go with the sort of pop convention of naming, of, just like, name it a line in the chorus, or, something like a one word title. I think we need to go back to these like, sort of like long names that really, like you said, sort of create like a vibe and an image of what the song is, without just straight up telling you one of the lyrics.
I definitely push for that to be uh, the first track of our song for the Framers album, I Would Fall Asleep If You Would Let Me. Obviously, that's a bit of a mouthful to say and to introduce live, but it's one of the heavier songs in that album. So let's push for a title that's just as long as what that song is inspired by.
So I want to get into a couple of sort of clips from this record, some of my favorite moments. First of all, in the song "Hanging the Elephant in the Room," you which I didn't actually, until I listened to this record, I didn't know you could do. You actually have some pretty nice harsh vocals, which is cool. I want to we'll highlight one of these screams here. Like, that's fucking nasty, dude.
Thank you, man.
It just like, so was that all you, or was there any like vocal processing on that, or was that just you just fucking, I mean, obviously I know there's like, I'm sure compression and EQ, but did you use any kind of like distortion, or was that just all you?
Nope. Definitely the help of a bit crusher. That's the name of it. Definitely the help of some bit
Oh,
crushing.
okay.
Some of my favorite metalcore and like maybe even some black metal artists use that in their mixing. I don't think I have a very powerful scream on its own. If I were to do that live at a show, I would definitely want it to be processed through at least a distortion pedal. But having the liberty of being able to do my own mixing and mastering, I thought to give it some more power, to give it a lot more grit. But I will say that only works as well as your scream on record comes out. And believe me, before I recorded vocals, I'd spent like a year and a half just learning how to scream. And like driving to and from work, I'd put on like a quick 10-minute practice video and just screamed in my car just for warm ups and practice.
Oh wow. I want to get into sort of some of the inspirations that you took different artists and albums. One of my favorites, probably my absolute favorite song on the record is "If You Don't Like the Movie, You Can Always Leave the Theater."
Oh,
Once again, awesome name. And it sounds. I want to play some of the beginning here. It sounded to me very much like something that it really could be like a My Chemical Romance song. Not that it's like, copying or anything, but it sounds like something that could be off of Bullets. This guitar tone is so sick.
thank you.
Yeah, like that to me sounds like, very influenced by early MCR. Obviously one of your favorite bands. Is that sort of one of your was that actually one of your influences? And who else were you influenced by making this?
Oh man, I drew from and I have a list right here on my phone of just like a lot of different bands. I feel like tonally and rhythmically and even melodically, like a lot of what I've written isn't really come from any of the music that I listen to. It's just stuff that's kind of stuck in my head that I felt compelled to put on record. But and you are right that MCR is definitely in that list. This song in particular, though, not MCR inspired. It's actually inspired by I want to say like Rise Against, like a lot of their
Oh, yeah, I hear that. I definitely hear that.
like a lot of their earlier like before they started leaning more into pop punk, like their hardcore punk kind of a sound. But that song in particular, I was aiming for something that was a little more that I could imagine myself moshing to. Um, MCR does fit in with my inspirations, but I think the one song that really, stuck out to me is something that I wanted to, um, like the one song from MCR that I feel like I really wanted to draw from was "Sunsets Over Monroeville," which I think is like the least sounding MCR song of like all the songs that they've ever
It,
had.
I actually agree. We'll pull it up here.
And there's just so much there's just so much just happening here with the melody that I feel like if you're not picking apart or like learning the song piece by piece, you don't really know what, obviously you wouldn't know what they're doing, but it just sounds so nostalgic.
What track is the most inspired by that one on the record?
By that one in particular, I want to say Spectre of Writing, and like the second half of that one, it really brings itself back.
Let's pull it up here. I'll go to around the middle.
Another melody screen coming up, by the way.
Yeah, I hear that influence. Exactly, dude.
Thank you for your interest and your letter. We appreciate your eager and creative mode of writing. However, we do have a policy reviewing all submissions after
And I wanted to ask you this outro, like the lyrics, you're basically like sort of reading a letter. I wanted to ask, like, is that a real letter that you received, or is that sort of like a fictionalized a thing?
Nope, that was just something, yeah, I'd come up with, and I tried to put together something that sounded cold, corporate, something that sounded unassuming. And if you followed along with the lyrics of that song, you'll understand probably why that's, it's important to get why that response and the tone of that response is important to the overall theme of the song. But that was written by me. And
Wow. Yeah, I mean, it's great. You hit the nail on the head. I mean, it literally, like I said, I thought maybe that was a real letter that you received for something. Yeah, I mean, I could just play snippets from this album all day. I mean, yeah, it's just it's melancholic, it's hopeful, it's beautiful in a lot of moments in a certain way. And yeah, I was literally like, and once again, I'm not just saying this. I mean, because when people say like, hey, I made a record, and I knew you were a super talented guy. You never really know what to expect, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was literally like, when I was listening to this, I actually remember the first time I listened to it, I was at work. I was listening to it while I was working, and literally like my mouth was like hanging open, like involuntarily. Yeah, man, it's a fucking incredible record, dude.
Oh, I really appreciate that, man. And yeah, no, I feel like I definitely needed that as an outlet, one, emotionally, but two, melodically, because I feel that's a place where I can put, like, that project in itself is a place where I could put ideas that were maybe too heavy or too dark for the framers, and
Yeah,
keep the lighter stuff, keep the catchier stuff to them. So, between the
yeah.
framers and Your Albino
More,
Shadow, you get your joyful side and you get your tragic side. So
there you
good
go.
balance there.
Now, would you ever be interested in playing these songs live, do you think?
I would. I would. I just don't feel as compelled to put together a project to play it live. If somebody had come up to me and said, "Hey, we really appreciate, or we really like these projects. Would you like to sing or play guitar or like do drums on any of these songs?" Like, I'd be completely down. But I think as it stands right now, honestly, my schedule is pretty loaded up with Framer stuff, so I don't know that I had the space for a live Your Albino Shadows. Not for the time being, though. But
Hey, 2025, who knows, right?
never
Who knows
know.
what could happen? Yeah, man. I mean, I would, I would love personally, I would love to hear these songs live, and I think it would sort of, I could really see these playing well, to an audience and connecting with people.
Hmm.
Um, I will torture you for just a second. If you had to pick a favorite song from the record,
I don't know. I'm probably gonna go with everyone else's answer. I'm gonna go with the very last one, with Convalescent. I think that's the one that, I mean, yeah, I think that's the one that kind of encapsulates the most feelings of just dread and ultimate hopefulness. I will say the second half of that song is a reading of the poem "What Resembles a Grave That Isn't" by, geez, again, I can't remember her name, but I think that's a song that really, you know, that's a song that I waited until I'd finished the rest of the album to complete writing, to complete before I wrote that song. And yeah, I think it's just the ultimate ending for that. Yeah, for the themes and for the project.
I agree, man. I think that's, much like, sort of the last track on the Framers record. I feel like it's just like the perfect ending for what the record is. And I don't even want to play a portion of it. Like I implore you, if you're listening to this, go listen to the record in full. But if anything, just listen to that last track all the way through. Just, yeah, beautiful, beautiful stuff. Beautifully heartbreaking. I would say. So yeah, once again, the project is called Your Albino Shadow, and the record is What Resembles a Grave But Isn't. Like I said, one of my favorite records of the year. But yeah, anyway, man, that's I think that does it. The first ever episode of the Test Press. Thank you so much, Oliver. Once again, we have Oliver Chavez here, lead guitarist of the Framers and architect of the Your Albino Shadow project. Go listen to both his solo stuff and the Framers. Links are going to be in the description. Awesome music all around. Oliver, thank you so much for being the inaugural guest. I hope you had a good time. I had a great time discussing music with you. Yeah, all right, folks. We'll see you later.